All right, Nuggets fans, welcome into Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends over at SEL Mortgage. I'm your host, Ryan Blackburn at NBA Blackburn on Twitter, part of the Mile High Sports Podcast Network, and I am here. I am ready to discuss last night's Denver Nuggets win. As the Nuggets, everything's all right now. They won. They beat the Sacramento Kings 124 to 116. A good win for Denver, to be clear. One where they absolutely needed it to happen. They needed to have a nice little windfall in the standings. And lo and behold, the Nuggets are now the 4 seed, I believe, in the Western Conference playoff picture. And if they continue to win, I believe they guarantee the 4 seed. I could be wrong about that based off of tiebreakers. Not every team is playing at the same time right now. And there are a whole bunch of different scenarios that I have to go through. And we'll be able to go through over the course of the show a little bit, but does seem like things are coming into focus a little bit more in the playoffs, and who knows, maybe new coach David Adelman can help the Nuggets get themselves off the schneid and playing better basketball, playing more straightforward basketball that makes sense for the Denver Nuggets. Once again, I'm your host, Ryan Blackburn. Thank you so much for tuning into the show over at Mile High Sports here. Really appreciate the love and support on the podcast. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying. Would really, really appreciate it. Really quickly, before we get into the show, this podcast, as you know, is brought to you by our good friends over at SEL Mortgage, who are a great mortgage company that you can trust. Hundreds of happy customers, a 5-star reputation. They have specialized loans for self-employed people. If you need a down payment, if you need a second mortgage, they have helped hundreds of people like you achieve their dreams. SEL Mortgage focuses on assisting people with unusual financing needs as well as those with great credit. So whatever situation you're in, make sure to contact SEL Mortgage. Contact them and make sure that you let them know that you came from us. Call 303-790-2222 or visit myspecialmortgage.com. Okay, let's get into the show here. The Nuggets needed a win, of course. They needed a good performance, and they got it. They got it from Michael Malone. Oh, God. That's going to take some getting used to. I'm going to have to get that out of my system real quick. Was good stuff from David Adelman as he took over, and was good stuff from the starting unit. Christian Braun led everybody with 25 points. A lot of that came in the first half as he helped get Denver off to a really great start. He was a plus 20 in a game the Nuggets won by 8. That's a really good sign that Christian and the starters are kind of back on track here. Aaron Gordon had 21 points, 9 of 16 from the field, 5 assists. Michael Porter, also 21 points. He hit some clutch shots in that fourth quarter. Nikola Jokic had a triple-double, 20 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, 4 steals. Jokic, by the way, is only 4 assists away from averaging a triple-double, guaranteeing that he's averaging a triple-double on the season over the course of these last 2 games. He's in a great spot here. And the way that he has, he's figured some stuff out, it's been he didn't have to do everything last night. He didn't try to do everything last night. And I think what we had seen, frankly, under Malone, but also just in that stage of the season, was he was putting too much of the burden on his own shoulders rather than trying to get everybody else involved as often as possible. It was cool to see. Aaron Gordon led the team in shot attempts. Michael Porter had 14. Jokic and Christian Braun tied for 12. Now, Jokic, of course, had 10 free throw attempts and went 10 of 10 at the line. So good on him for making good on that. But Jalen Pickett also had 10. It was just a really balanced effort from the entire Nuggets team. And that's what you need in these situations. You need everybody to be picking up their weight. Too often, it felt like Jokic was having to kind of swim up current, doing everything that he could by himself. And he doesn't have to do that. These guys are good basketball players. Now, there will be situations where he has to take on more responsibility and they're not facing the Kings. I want to make it clear. The Kings are the 9 seed. They are not a great team. Denver will have to face great teams in the playoffs, and this is going to be interesting to see how they handle themselves. But just overall, it felt like the Nuggets took this one very seriously. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. And it was a lot of different folks that could take some credit for it. As I mentioned, Christian Brown got them off to a really great start. And it was Jalen Pickett at times that made some big shots. 5 of 7 from 3 for Jalen Pickett, had 18 points, 4 assists, 1 steal. And some of the shots, like these were big boy shots. Third quarter, he hits 3 3-pointers in a row. I think the Kings scored at least once in between those, but it forced a timeout from Doug Christie, who's the interim head coach over at Sacramento. And he just like Pickett was letting out the primal scream because he was very excited to be playing well in this situation. And then he hits a clutch 3 in the right corner off of a Christian Brown kick out. And by the way, Christian Brown initiating offense and running 2-man game with Nikola Jokic in the clutch, making a great pass to Jalen Pickett for an open 3, and Jalen Pickett hitting the shot. That's kind of cool. Like, so often Jokic, Porter, Gordon, those guys feel like, especially when Murray is out, that there's a lot of pressure concentrated on those 3. But Christian has clearly taken off some of the pressure on those other guys to have to initiate, to have to do everything. This isn't an Austin Rivers situation. This isn't a previously a Christian Brown situation. It's nice to see Christian grow in his game. And it's also nice to see Jalen Pickett get the opportunities and make the most of them. Played 31 minutes, and it just felt like he was the guy that deserved to be out there yesterday, which was pretty cool. And contrasting with that, Russell Westbrook had I think a pretty poor game overall. I thought his first half was much better than his second half, but he played the fewest minutes of his season since like game 20 of the NBA calendar. That's notable to me. Of course, I didn't notice it before when I was kind of comparing and contrasting the rotation charts, but Russell Westbrook's actual minute totals being a lot lesser, kind of notable. So will be interesting to see how they handle that going forward, how David Adelman continues to handle the point guard position, especially if Jamal Murray comes back and you have to make a decision. Hey, so who's the backup point guard? Is it going to be Russell Westbrook or is it going to be Jalen Pickett? I still have a feeling it's going to be Russell Westbrook, but like that's an interesting call now at this point, and I think a lot of Nuggets fans, based off of the way that they've played lately, would probably want to go with Pickett. But I'm happy for him specifically because he didn't ask to be in the middle of this Michael Malone, Calvin Booth feud that had been going on for multiple years. Pickett was the lightning rod of everything. And it wasn't just like he wasn't fully ready last year. And that was pretty clear. And Michael Malone made that clear on several occasions in sort of how he played him, how he responded to his play, things said behind the scenes, things like that. But Calvin Booth also pushed way too hard. And like when you push through a player in order to make a point, that player gets the brunt of the criticism, the brunt of the like ire directed at that. And I'm going to be very interested to see how Pickett can play when he's just kind of free. He's freed up a little bit and doesn't have to worry about being a pawn in the schemes of both of these guys. And that's like probably unfair. I do think that Michael Malone came around to him a lot more in the second half of the season, but it took a while for him to play him pretty consistently. I will say that even with Malone, I'm pretty sure Pickett played in about 27 of the final 30 games and was in the rotation for like a significant chunk of them. So this wasn't like Malone never was willing to change or anything like that, but he obviously had Pickett on a very short leash, preferred to play Julian Strawther a lot more, despite Pickett being the 32nd pick and Strawther being the 29th pick in those same drafts. And just kind of interesting to see. I will also note that a criticism of Malone can be levied. I think I've said this before. Reggie Jackson played 82 games last year. Reggie Jackson. Like, that was ridiculous. And it was always ridiculous. And Denver never really seriously considered the idea of playing Jalen Pickett that much. Michael Malone certainly didn't. And that's a criticism that can be levied. Now, should you be really that focused on the third string point guard if you have a championship to kind of try to build? Probably not. But also, it clearly was a problem for a lot of different people, especially Calvin Booth, and is just an example of why the situation got as toxic as it was. Nobody was right in this situation. I don't think, I'm not going to sit here and say Calvin Booth was right, because him pushing as hard as he did made it wrong. So it's tough, man. Like, this two pillars for the Nuggets just clashing over and over, and Pickett was the one who suffered for it. So we'll see what happens going forward. We'll see what happens for the rest of the season. It's not that much time, 2 games left, and then the playoffs. I don't know whether Pickett's going to play extensively. I don't know whether, if Russ is going to play more. I kind of assume Russ is going to play more, and that Jamal Murray, when or if he comes back, will play the most. But who knows? Maybe Murray won't come back. We'll see. And finally, I want to make sure to mention that so much of the reason why the Nuggets won this game was that the starters just gave good effort. And it was pretty clear watching Jokic play defense at the level, watching Michael Porter and Aaron Gordon consistently rotating and being in the right spot. Suddenly that communication got a lot better. And I don't know if it's a conscious thing that guys do. I don't think they were trying to get Malone fired or anything like that. But what I do think is that they were pretty conscious in terms of not really wanting to go the extra mile while Malone was coaching. It kind of sucks because Malone has helped them get through a whole bunch of time, a whole bunch of low points, high points, and just guiding the team through everything. And as somebody who has always been in Malone's corner on this, it sucks because you don't want to, Michael Malone's probably looking around well, no wonder they won. They're playing hard. They were talking out there. They were communicating. They were doing exactly what I had been asking them to do for months. They watched film. Look at that. And sometimes you just need to relieve the pressure. Sometimes that's what it takes. And it's never I'm not going to blame anyone specifically. I refuse to blame Malone specifically. Booth is as much his fault. And as you guys know, I've been pretty low on the roster. I've been pretty low on the players overall and how they have responded, because the version of Denver that plays hard and plays consistently is not the 22nd ranked defense. That's not a coaching thing. That's an effort and a willingness kind of thing that Denver just didn't display under Michael Malone. And part of your job as a coach is to motivate the players. So he's not entirely innocent in all of this, of course. But it's just so much more nuanced and complicated and difficult to parse blame than what people want to do. People want to just say, you're the problem. Okay, get rid of him, and then we're good. That's not what's going to happen this year for this Nuggets roster. But hey, maybe this is the part where Denver needed to kind of shift some things around, get themselves better, and root out what was part of the problem. And then they can start really focusing on what the actual symptoms were. Something of that nature. I don't know medical lingo, mumbo jumbo. But what I do know is that Michael Malone wasn't the only problem with this team, and anybody that says that he was, I would have some words for. But hey, they won. Congratulations to David Adelman for his first victory. I thought he coached a really good game. I thought he was pushing the right buttons, good usage of timeouts, good usage of rotations, kind of held Westbrook in check a little bit when he was starting to really falter in that fourth quarter, got him out, got Jalen Pickett back in, among other things. And I thought that he helped focus on like one of the things that he said post game. He really liked that Jokic just kept passing to the open guy and kept trusting. And that to me that's a good sign because Jokic, again, he didn't try to do everything himself, nor should he. He should absolutely continue to leverage the idea and the possibility that his teammates are actually good basketball players. And they are. Like, that's the thing, is like, as much as we want to credit Jokic individually, so much of his success is because everybody helps set him up into a situation where he can have that success. He's the best player in the world, no matter what anybody else does around him. I'm not gonna beat around the bush there. But what I do think is that Denver's at their best when Jokic is involving everybody and elevating them and making them better, and not just trying to assume all of the responsibility onto his own shoulders. So I'm glad that he was able to trust that, and the Nuggets were doing what they were supposed to do. They responded well for him, and that's how it's supposed to look. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the playoff standings. We're going to talk about a variety, like a couple of other things. And if you have any questions in the comments section in the live chat, make sure to drop them, and I will do my best to answer questions as I see fit, but also just like within the flow of the show. Everybody, thank you very much. Oh gosh, I was about to sign off. That sounded weird. We'll be right back here on Pickaxe and Roll. All right, we are back. Pickaxe and Roll. Ryan Blackburn here. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Appreciate the love and support of the podcast, folks. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Would really appreciate it. Hot Sauce 771 says, "Do we still not really know the severity of Jamal's injury?" Correct. He was doubtful heading into last night's game. It's something like, as Malone previously described it, it went from day to day to not really day to day. Hamstring injuries are fickle. They always have been. I'm not going to sit here and say that I know that much about like how the body is supposed to respond in situations like this. It wouldn't surprise me if Jamal tried to get back and then exacerbated something a little bit more, and the team kind of made the determination. He made the determination that the best thing for him was to rest it. And yeah, will be interesting to see. Snowwolf says they announced today Jamal will play Friday. Who announced that? Like I must have missed it because there's just a lot of things that have come out. But let me know where the announcement came from, and I'll try to find it and I can put it up on screen. That would be great. Obviously, Denver needs Jamal Murray to be successful. They need him to take some pressure off of Jokic. They need him to show up and be playoff Jamal Murray. That'd be great. They can win multiple playoff series, multiple rounds, if Jokic and Murray are at their best. Can they win the entire championship? Probably not. Not unless they get the help that they need. And who knows? Maybe they could get the help at this point, and we'll just have to see. We'll have to find out. Okay, I'm going to throw the new standings up on the screen right now. Let's get this in here. Boom. The Thunder are the 1 seed. They're going to be the 1 seed. We knew this. The Rockets are guaranteed to be the 2 seed now. They're at 28 losses with 2 games to go. The Lakers are at 31 losses in third with 2 games to go. The Rockets cannot be caught. They will be the 2 seed. Thunder at 1, Houston at 2. Kind of funny. Like, I remember those 2 teams and their fan bases battling over who had the better core, who had the better young core. And obviously, I think the Thunder have dominated in that. Shea was a part of that for various points, but also they have Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, a whole bunch of other young guys that are very, very good. But Houston is right there. Houston has had a great season. They deserve a ton of credit for the way that this has been handled for them. So congrats to their fan base who had to suffer through what was a pretty ugly end to the Harden run. And then 3 full years after that of just being embarrassing. They figured some stuff out last year with Ime Udoka as the head coach. And now they are a different level at this point. The Lakers are in third at 49-31. They lead the Nuggets by a game. Bobby asks, who has the tiebreaker with the Nuggets and LA? The Lakers do. And the reason why is because the teams are head-to-head, tied at 2 games apiece. Nuggets 1-2, Lakers 1-2. But the Lakers are the Pacific Division leader. They're the Pacific Division champions. So if they win the Pacific Division, that is the next tiebreaker in a head-to-head. Usually it would be just like if one team won more games head-to-head, then that would be for Denver to see. But the Lakers dominated in a couple of those matchups. They nearly won one of the others. And the Lakers, I think, definitely have the inside chance to be the 3 seed. I don't know about their tiebreakers between Lakers and Clippers, but I do know that the Nuggets would lose any tiebreaker to the Lakers, and the Lakers have a 1-game lead with 2 games to go. So unless they collapse, I just think that Denver's not going to be able to catch LA. But who knows? Maybe some 3-way tiebreakers would be a little bit more, a little bit different. The Nuggets are tied right now with the Clippers at 48-32 at the 4-5 matchup. Right now, the Nuggets have the tiebreaker over the Clippers. That is because, so the Lakers have the Pacific Division on lock. Neither the Nuggets or Clippers are division champions. So the next tiebreaker that it would go to is conference record, and the Nuggets have a better conference record than the Clippers do. Let me just confirm that. Yes, the Nuggets are 30-20 in the conference. The Clippers are 27-23. So the Nuggets would get home court in this situation. They would be the 4 seed, and they would face the Clippers in the first round. I got to tell you guys, I think that's a reasonable outcome for Denver. Is it perfect? No. But could it be worse? Absolutely. The Clippers are they're going to be a tough team, in particular because they have a great defense. Ivica Zubac is having a great defensive season, but around him, Kawhi's not giving the same level of effort and intensity that he did in his prime, but he's still a smart defender. Harden, when he wants to be, is a better defender than he gets credit for. Gets a lot of steals, puts himself into a situation where he can be helpful. But Derek Jones Jr. is a great defender. Chris Dunn is starting for them. He's a fantastic defender. Nick Batum is always somebody that I've been pretty high on in terms of his ability to affect a game with his high IQ defense. And as Hugo mentions in the comments, they've got Bogdan Bogdanovic. Jokic versus Bogdan would be very interesting to watch. You know that Bogdan is going to get some opportunities off the bench, and he certainly has had stretches where he's been a lot better with the Clippers than he was with the Hawks for this season. So he's finding that renaissance a little bit. We would have to talk about what it would look like against the Clippers. Nuggets haven't played the Nuggets have not played the Clippers in a long time. They haven't played the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard this year. It's been mostly James Harden, Norman Powell, and Ivica Zubac. And that's been basically it. Okay. Maxwell says here, according to a report from The Athletic, the Canadian native will likely return on Friday. Okay. So not a surprise that The Athletic was able to get it. I'm pretty sure that was a report from Sam Amick and Tony Jones, the article that came out. I was in the process of reading it now, but I decided I should do my job and do my show. So good to see. There's a lot of things that are still coming out about the Malone Booth situation and just everything that went into it. So not surprised that we're still getting some stuff. But hey, Jamal back on Friday in all likelihood. That's good to see. Denver needs to kind of see what their rotation is going to be. And I'm very curious. Like, I really am. The Pickett versus Westbrook situation off the bench, I think people are going to be surprised. I think that they're just going to bench Pickett. Either that or they bench Julian Strawther and they play both Pickett and Westbrook. So I think Russ is going to stay in there just as a but hey, who knows? Like David Adelman has the wheel, like he has the controls. We'll see whether he makes a surprising decision, but I just kind of assume that he's going to go with the vet. Who knows? Maybe that changes. All right, we're still on the standings here on YouTube. Make sure to go check out the video format if you're just listening on the audio, if you want to check out what the standings look like, although you could probably also just put up the standings. Clippers, Nuggets tied at 48 and 32. The Memphis Grizzlies are at 47 and 32. Denver and Memphis play on Friday. So Memphis is going to, I think they play tonight. I would be shocked if they played 3 games in a row. Oh, yeah, they play Minnesota. Minnesota versus Memphis tonight is a massive game. Memphis is at 47 and 32. Golden State is at 7 at 47 and 33. Minnesota is at 46 and 33. So they are 1 loss behind Memphis. And if Minnesota wants to be out of the play-in, they will go all out to try to win that game. They've got 3 more games to go. This is a big one. That's a massive game. So make sure to tune in, Nuggets fans, or at least check out what's going on for that one. That one's going to be a massive, massive one. And then Memphis has to come into Denver on the second night of a back-to-back. They will travel from Memphis to Denver, east to west. That's going to be like, it's easier to travel east to west for that. Like, that's obviously going to be a thing. But interesting to see how that affects them. And then 9 and 10 are basically locked in. Sacramento is going to be probably the 9 unless Dallas can pass them. I don't think that Dallas will be able to pass them, but who knows? You never know. So yeah, it's going to be the final 3 days of the season, by the way, just so that everybody knows. Thursday is like, it's got a few games. Friday has 15 games being played. Saturday has 0 games being played. And Sunday has 15 games being played. So everybody will be active on Friday and Sunday. Nobody will be playing on Saturday. We'll be able to talk about all the scenarios and the situations, and we'll certainly do a podcast on that day and talk about Murray's debut, or not debut, but his return. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Nuggets handle these final couple, how the rest of the standings pan out. I think Nuggets fans, it seems like they would be okay playing the Clippers. If you're the 4 seed in that situation, yes, you have to play OKC in the next round, but who knows? Maybe it's Minnesota that faces OKC in the first round and Minnesota challenges them. Maybe it's the Warriors that have to face Minnesota in the first, or face OKC in the first round, and Golden State challenges them. I don't know what's ultimately going to happen. I kind of believe in OKC. I think that they're going to be pretty good. But if Denver has to face the Clippers, yeah, that's a matchup that, if you are a champion, if you are a championship caliber team, you have to be able to get through that one. Like, just straight up. You have to be able to identify what the Clippers are going to do with their pick and roll. You have to be able to guard Kawhi Leonard in isolation, James Harden in isolation, and then you're going to have to destroy what is a pretty good defense. You're going to have to target Ivica Zubac with Jokic and force double teams and force them to over-rotate and overcompensate to help out their defensive guy. And I think that Zubac will be up to that task. I think he's grown in this league. He is not just a young guy anymore. He is somebody that Jokic has had to battle a lot. I think if we're ranking the players that Jokic has had to go up against the most in his career, number 1 is Rudy Gobert. Number 2 is Karl-Anthony Towns. And number 3 is Ivica Zubac. I feel pretty comfortable ranking it like that. Just because other guys have been in and out of the conference, but Zubac has been in the NBA pretty sure since 2019 and has been around and available and helpful for those teams for a long time. So yeah, going to be interesting to see how they handle it. All right, let me know in the comments how you would feel about a Clippers matchup in the first round. If they're in the 4-5 matchup, can Denver win that series? Can they win it with relative ease? Or would you rather Denver be in a different situation? Would you rather them face the Warriors, the Grizzlies, the Rockets, the Lakers? Like, who would you rather them face? Probably not the T-Wolves. I think you guys aren't masochists, but it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. All right, everyone, that is going to do it for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends over at SCL Mortgage. Thank you for tuning into the show. Good show today. Glad to be here. Glad to be helpful. Doing what I can to provide some good context for what's going on for the Nuggets over the course of these next few weeks. Make sure to keep it here. Make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I will be doing consistent breakdowns after every game, but also just as the Nuggets have to prep for a playoff series, you know that I'll be able to get into a lot of depth on it. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Really appreciate all the love and support as always. I will talk to you guys very soon.